They say the mountains never move, but anyone who's lived long enough on a hillside knows that's only half true. I've seen slopes shift, dirt slope, clay buckle, sometimes overnight. And that's exactly why I built the wall in the first place. I'm Tom Whitaker, 62, retired structural engineer, lived the better half of my life anchoring bridges, hospitals, military housing, you name it. So when I found this little cedar house tucked high above Granger Ridge, I didn't fall in love with the view. I fell in love with the challenge. The backyard dropped nearly 35 feet into a canyon, steep and wild. No fence, no guardrail, just raw dirt. Fill soil, mostly, layered over time like cake gone wrong. I could tell the previous owners slapped grass over erosion and crossed their fingers. The listing was way below market value, and I knew why. No one wanted to deal with that much vertical risk, but I did. First week after closing, I ran soil compaction tests myself. Yep, still had the gear. Then drafted plans for a retaining system. I didn't want to flatten the landscape, I just wanted it to stay where it was. I designed a gabion wall reinforced with geogrid mesh and native ground cover, tied into the hillside like a seatbelt. 10 feet high, 38 feet long. It wasn't flashy, but it worked. And I had every permit, every blueprint, every inspection sign-off filed with the county. It passed winter storms, 2 flash floods, and even a minor quake. Held like a champ. For 5 years, everything was fine. Then the HOA changed hands. Now, when I bought the house, this part of the ridge wasn't technically under HOA control. They'd expanded since then, and by the time I got their first letter, "Welcome to the Granger Ridge community," I figured, fine, I'll pay the dues, ignore the lawn suggestions, and we'll coexist. And we did. Until Valerie. Valerie Dalton, newly minted HOA president, former wedding planner turned community aesthetics consultant. That's what she called herself anyway. She was the kind of person who wore designer hiking boots and said things like visual cohesion without blinking. She'd come by during one of the neighborhood barbecues, stood behind my fence, wine glass in hand, staring at the slope like it had personally offended her. "That's quite a wall," she said. "It's quite a slope," I replied. "Did you build it?" "I designed it, oversaw the construction." She gave a slow nod. Feels severe, don't you think? We're pushing for more natural gradients this year. Earth tones, native textures." "Yeah," I said, "that wall is native. That Sierra Nevada stone and California fescue on top. Blends right in during the rainy season." She didn't smile, just sipped her Chardonnay and walked off like the conversation had been a warning, not a compliment. 2 weeks later, I got the violation notice. Non-compliant structure, disruption of ridge aesthetics. I laughed. Honestly, I laughed. The wall had been standing longer than Valerie had lived in the zip code. I sent them everything: photos, permits, stamped blueprints, slope reports. I even offered to walk their compliance committee through the engineering. Nobody took me up on it. Instead, I got a second notice, then a fine. Then the real kicker. A letter saying if I didn't remove the wall in 60 days, they'd contract removal themselves and charge me for the work. I knew then. I wasn't dealing with people who cared about safety. I was dealing with people who hated being told they were wrong. So I requested a formal meeting. The night of the hearing, the clubhouse was packed. Valerie stood at the front like she was hosting an open house, slideshow and all. Slide number 4, a zoomed-in shot of my wall. "Mr. Whitaker," she said, "we appreciate your expertise, but the board has voted unanimously. The structure violates our harmony clause. It's aggressive in design, and it's not in line with the original landscaping plan for the ridge." I stood up. "That wall," I said, "is the only reason your house hasn't slid into my backyard." A few people chuckled. Someone in the back coughed. I've got 12 years of seismic and rainfall data, I continued. You take it down and you're gambling with more than shrubs. You're gambling with homes. Valerie didn't flinch. Thank you for your input, Mr. Whitaker. You still have 60 days. And I walked out. Now, I don't bluff, never have. But I do document. I scanned every notice, took daily photos of the slope, measured flag movement, charted rainfall, logged everything. And then, nothing. Silence. No more letters, no more fines. Until the morning I came back from the dentist and found a backhoe in my yard. 2 guys in neon vests. One held a clipboard, the other was already digging. "Can I help you?" I asked. "Removal order," one said, "from the HOA." I looked at the form. No county signature, no engineering consultant, just Valerie's letterhead and a vague line about landscape adjustments. "This is private property," I said. "Touch that wall and I'll have the sheriff here in 5 minutes." They left. But the damage had started, literally. A few days later, I noticed the rosemary plants on the slope had shifted. The soil looked off, not collapsed, just unsettled, like something had been unbuttoned beneath the surface. I called the county, left messages, called the HOA, got voicemail, called again. Valerie finally picked up. "Mr. Whitaker, I prefer written correspondence." "You compromised a Class C slope," I said. "Do you understand what that means?" "No need to raise your voice." "Do you know what angle of repose is? Do you know what happens when you remove lateral pressure support without replacing it?" Silence. "I'm not yelling," I said, cold now. "I'm trying to stop you from ending up in a negligence lawsuit, or worse." She exhaled through her nose. "We had a landscaping consultant. He wasn't licensed. He never even stepped on the property. What you have isn't settling, it's sloughing. That slope is moving." She hung up. So I did what I had to do. I warned the neighbors. Most were polite, a few were skeptical. But one, Maya Langston, new to the block, civil litigator, single mom, took one look at my survey flags and said, "You're not bluffing, are you?" "No, ma'am," I said, "and if it goes, it's not just me who gets buried." She called for an emergency meeting. The HOA ignored her. "We're not geologists," Valerie told her, "and the grade is stable." And then it rained. Not a storm, just steady, soaking rain, 2 days of it. On the 3rd morning, a crack opened across the walking path, another near Mr. Grady's back deck. I took photos, logged soil loss, filed another report with the county. And then, silence again. Until midnight a week later, when the slope gave out. It started with a pop, not thunder, pressure. Then a groan, like the earth was exhaling all at once. The slope peeled open, the old walking trail folded in half, and half a dozen trees went down like matchsticks. 3 homes lost their back porches. One home, Valerie's neighbor, tilted like a sinking boat. And the wall that was supposed to hold it all? Gone, because they tore it down. I called 911. I wasn't the only one. By morning, emergency crews had cordoned off the ridge. County engineers called it a catastrophic loss of slope integrity. Valerie? She was found standing in her backyard, barefoot, mumbling, "I told them it'd be fine," over and over. The slope was sealed. The HOA shaken. And yet, they doubled down. 2 days later, they sent a letter blaming unauthorized modifications for the collapse. They meant my wall, the wall they destroyed. So I fought back. Maya helped organize a legal team. I sent in everything, permits, photos, time logs. And then Barbara, the soft-spoken HOA treasurer, came forward with internal emails. One line stood out. From Valerie, "Even if he's right, it has to go." Even if he's right. That line made its way into every deposition, every article, every HOA reform hearing across the county. The county sided with us. The court ruled in our favor. The HOA was dissolved in a community vote. Valerie vanished. No forwarding address, no apology, just a for sale sign on her ruined house. We rebuilt, this time with county engineers and proper reinforcement. Funny thing, the new wall looked a lot like mine. I don't feel triumphant, just steady, like the ground I fought so hard to hold. My son visited recently, first time in months. He saw what I'd built, what we saved. "I didn't know this place meant so much to you," he said. "It's the first thing I built for myself," I told him. And when they tried to take it, I remembered who I was. Now the slope